To introduce myself, my name's Connor Kinnear. I'm the Chief Marketing Officer at a firm called Passle. I see lots of our clients in the room today, some who aren't our clients, but we know you well too. I've never actually worked at a law firm. I've never studied law. I've never worked at consultancy. So I kind of stumbled my way into this industry a little bit by accident. So I started out very quickly, just to introduce who I am. I started out many years ago. I went on the IBM Sales Academy after a business degree at Edinburgh University. And I did that for a couple of years and I wasn't quite sure I wanted to do sales at the time. So I decided I would go into marketing and I went into the graduate marketing program at Diageo. And we had an absolute ball of a time as a 24-year-old getting paid to find out how to innovate about getting people to drink more pints of Guinness or a shot of Baileys or whatever it might be. I had an absolute hoot of a time. And it was an amazing place to learn marketing, very different from anywhere else I'd ever been. So we did that, and then I met these couple of guys called Tom and Adam Elgar, and I'm still working with them today at Passle. And they had this company, and it was really random. It was called the Server Side Group, which you'll never have heard of. But at the Server Side Group, they come up with this idea to put pictures on bank cards. So you might have seen with Barclays, you can put a picture of your kid or whatever in your bank card, or your dog. And they thought it was going to be really good for small businesses to have their company logos on the bank cards. But actually, it turned out it was just all dogs and cats and babies. But fortunately, there's loads and loads of dogs and cats and babies around the world. So we sold loads and loads of these cards. So I joined them there as their chief marketing officer. And when we were there, we said it would be great to kind of have a blog and a newsletter and to talk to these people that can buy our products. And there weren't millions and millions of people. There were probably about 200 people in the world who could buy this software, which was kind of the CEOs or heads of consumer banking at retail banks around the world. So we started writing blogs. And we knew more than anyone else in the world about this niche that we specialized in, which is where customization crossed with payment cards. So I got everyone to do it in January, and everyone wrote a blog, and it was great. And we did a lovely newsletter to these 200 people, and then nobody ever did it again because they were too busy doing their client work and working with clients. So they just wouldn't write insights. So what we did was we hired this guy called Dominic, who is an ex-Financial Times journalist, and he wrote this beautiful content, amazing writer, but he didn't have a clue about where customization crossed with payment cards. So the content wasn't really very good or accurate. It was beautifully written, but it wasn't accurate. So eventually we just took the whole thing down because there was no point having it. Now, we stumbled across a way to market these people in a different way. So we wanted to do kind of hyper-personalization of marketing. So what we did, I got a list of the 200 kind of people we wanted to sell to, and we found a picture of them all online because they were kind of like quite senior people, like the CEO of Barclays retail bank or whatever. And what we did was we blew up their picture and we put it on a massive card, a big A1 card that size, and then we put the Barclays logo on it, and then on the back of it, so it looked like a giant card. Like, remember Children in Need? You present your big check. It was a bit like that, but a big bank card with their picture in the front, and on the back of it, we wrote about all of the ROI and everything behind that and how successful this would be for Barclays. And then we sat in the office, we wrapped it in brown paper, a little bit of string, we hand wrote everyone, a little bit of my aftershave on the outside of it, and we FedExed it to all of these CEOs, and we got loads and loads of meetings, and we sold loads and loads of card programs to these banks all around the world. We actually ended up selling that company, Server Side Group, back in 2012 to a big French company called Gemalto. And when we left, we were like, well, it's going to be pretty hard to replicate giant cards to people all around the world. Is there a way we can solve that content problem we have? So we set about looking to see if we could help organizations get their truly busy experts to write regular insights. And we sold to lots of different industries, but actually it turned out it worked best with kind of law firms, with consultancies, with professional services firms. So all those firms, they're stacked full of really, really smart people, but who are very, very busy. And that's what we've been doing kind of for the last 10 years. And I said we work with lots of the people in this room here today. So going back to what John said towards the end of his presentation, is thought leadership dead? Definitely not. We know how important it is, and we're all trying to do a really good job of it. But what we've realized now and what we're trying to work on is how do we do that hyper personalization piece? So, how do we get it one to one to the right people? How do we get the right content to the right person at the right time? Or how do we get it to the right partner or consultant in our firm so that they can deliver it to their client at the right time? So, we've been looking a lot now, obviously, over the last couple of years, where everyone's talking about AI, and this event's about that as well, and how we leverage that. And we looked a little bit about how to leverage it for these busy experts to write content. And we've trialed that a bit, and it's been a bit lukewarm because that's the one thing left that we have is that authenticity. We have those really smart people. So how do we keep that authentic, but use AI to help us deliver it to the right people? So that's what I'm going to kind of talk about more today, if I've any time left. If any time left still, yeah. And this is something we hear a lot from our clients. If our attorneys knew what their colleagues were able to deliver, our clients would buy it. So they have these really strong, trusted relationships. I spoke with one of the big US firms last week, their global head of BD, and she was saying that if our firm knew what our firm could do, would be $14 billion business, not $7 billion. And their whole plan is how do we drive these 50 million accounts to be 100 million accounts, or for maybe a smaller firm, how do we go from 500,000 to 1 million or 5 million to 10 million? And that's through cross-selling. Lots of you will know Sadie Barron. She was just recently left as the CMO of Reed Smith. And I met Sadie recently to kind of pick her brains in some of this. And she was saying to me, cross-selling is the cheapest, fastest, and easiest way for a professional services firm to grow. So the way we've looked at the target and the way we've always built our platform and advanced our software is just listening to what our clients needed to do. So what are their issues? What are the problems they're having? And we've had a lot of CMOs coming to us recently that we work with saying that they're being challenged by their managing partners and the lawyers or the consultants across their firm saying, everyone seems to be using AI. What can we do? How can we leverage it? So in turn, they've come to us and said, guys, what are you doing? Is there anything you can do to help us leverage this and to drive cross-selling in particular? So really quickly, I just did this kind of pretend firm to build it to life. So some of you will work at international professional services firms. Some of you will work in maybe just national firms. I was speaking to Brian. I had men ages there. He just opened an office in Saudi Arabia, and I think another one in Warsaw recently. So we know there's lots of firms with lots of people in different practice areas and sectors all around the world. So in this example, Alice is in New York, Tracy's in Toronto, Schmelz is in London. So lots of people who probably don't know each other. So some of them will know each other, but lots of them don't know each other because they work in very different areas or different offices that they've never even met each other. And the way cross-selling has happened in the past is very much an analog process. So maybe a big partner conference you have together to get them all together. Someone was saying to me last week, there used to be a lot of those water cooler chats. So it happened around the water cooler, which happens less and less now because people aren't in 5 days a week and things. So actually, if anything, cross-selling has actually deteriorated a little bit. And what we've realized, this is what stops cross-selling. So one is awareness and two is trust. So one, they just don't know the other people in the other office. They don't know their firm's capabilities. And secondly is trust. Do I trust this person? So this is my client where I get all my money from. Do I really want to introduce this person who I don't really know and put them in front of it and potentially damage that relationship? So how do we build the awareness and the trust at scale? Because the expertise isn't the problem. These people are all experts and they're bringing expertise to the company every single day, working in lots of offices, doing lots of different things. So the expertise is there. And it's really important to remember what our clients want. So what do your clients want as well? So we did a little bit of research recently, and you know what? Your clients want you to cross-sell. So they're buying their legal services or their consultancy of part of your firm, then it's very, very handy for them to be able to recommend to someone who can drive those other parts of their business as well. So we did this research. Apologies for those who are outside the legal services. This is actually with general counsels we did this, but I'm sure it applies equally to consultancies and other professional services firms. And it said that GCs spend more than 8 hours per week consuming content. So that's a lot of time. That's over one business day. So back to what John said, is thought leadership important still? Well, definitely. More than one working day, well, maybe not a working day for a lawyer, but one working day for a good salesperson anyway, reading and engaging with content. So they're saying, we want your firm to provide us with stuff that's going to educate us and going to help them do their jobs more effectively. So if you can advise them and tell them what's going on in the market, then they can do their jobs more effectively. But unfortunately, at the moment, only 1 in 12 of those GCs surveyed felt that the law firms were doing a good enough job in delivering that to them. So they're actually saying, we want you to send us relevant content at the right time to be more effective at our jobs. So it goes back to this point. If our attorneys knew what their colleagues were able to deliver, our clients would buy it. We also did another piece of research last year where we interviewed 100 managing partners at law firms, and only 1 in 5 of them felt that the market understood their firm's true capabilities. So this is this big opportunity to cross-sell better across those firms. So going back to these people, as I say, loads and loads of experts, and the way people are doing this at the moment, sharing content around, the way people are doing this at the moment and sharing content across these people, and we see it with our clients all the time, is they kind of send everyone everything. So they send a big digest of all the content they've created, or they just send to the IP practice the IP stuff. So none of the other stuff that they might be able to use to cross-sell across their firms then as well. And what happens is, I've never heard from any client say, our lawyers definitely don't get enough emails. So that's what a lawyer's inbox looks like. And what happens is no one opens it. No one reads it. You may be using an employee advocacy platform. You send everything to everyone, and no one opens it. And the click rates and the open rates are absolutely terrible. And actually, marketing people stop looking at those because they don't want to depress themselves too hard now. So back to this. How do we build that cross-selling awareness and trust? And this is where AI can help. And this is where we're looking at AI and how we can use AI to better build that awareness and to build that trust. So what we do is we use AI to look at the content you're putting out. So you put a new piece of content out, we use AI to analyze that. And we can analyze all the profiles of all of these people here. And the great thing, I was talking to someone just before the event, the great thing about AI when doing this is that everything's already there. So you can do this immediately almost with the right tools, because it's not like a CRM system. Who's launched a CRM platform at their firms? Yeah, a few people. It's really hard to do because you've got to get all the data and plug it in. It maybe takes you 2 years to get it all set up and throw in all the data, then train everyone how to use it, and then no one uses it anyway. So really, really difficult to do. But with AI, everything's already there. So you put out a new piece of thought leadership, AI can analyze that, and it can analyze all of these people here based on what region they're in, what they specialize in, what type of clients they work with, what type of work they do, what their interests are. It's all out there already. And then you can start connecting the right piece of content to the right people at the right time. So instead of sending this piece here on autonomous vehicles to everyone, you can send it just to the 80 people in the firm or the 20 people in the firm that it really matters to. And once it goes to that person, then working with their client, we're trying to work out what do you want them to do with that piece of content when they've got it. So it's relevant to them. So one email they've received, what can they do with it? So they can do one of 4 things. So first, again, you can use AI to summarize what the article is. So here's the big piece of thought leadership we did. Here's 4 or 5 lines. If that's of interest, maybe you want to engage with it more. So in this case, Alice is reading this piece by Oscar. She can do one of 4 things. 1, she can click in the article and read the whole thing. So you start driving that internal knowledge sharing. 2, she can connect with Oscar. So she can click on Oscar's name, say, Oscar, great to meet you. I'm actually working with a client, Passle at the moment, around ethics with AI and stuff. I'd love to introduce you to them. or get to know you a bit better and understand what your capabilities are. 3, you can share to LinkedIn if you like. Or 4, very, very importantly, you can share with your own key client or prospect then. So you can send it over to Boeing and say, hey, thought this piece by my colleague might be of interest to you based on what we were talking about last week. So again, trying to get that insight that's been written somewhere else in the world or in another office or another city to the right client at the right time to demonstrate our firm's capabilities. And then the most important thing, if you want these lawyers to engage in this and do it again and again, and those clients in the room that we have will understand we talk a lot about feedback. So giving these lawyers, these busy consultants, the right feedback that's going to encourage them to do this behavior again and again and again. So when we do this, what we want to do is we want to measure absolutely everything that's done on that email. So if Alice clicks on Oscar's profile, we want to tell Oscar the 50 people at the firm who clicked on his profile. So we're going to measure all of that. We're going to tell Oscar, well, this was sent to these 12 clients, and we're going to try and track everything that happens with that, and then deliver that feedback to Oscar and then to Alice as well. And going back to my IBM days, we got taught this so much. Feedback is the breakfast of champions. So always trying to get the right feedback to drive the right behaviors then as well. And the way they used to analyze it is, imagine you brought a group of your lawyers or your consultants to the 10-pin bowling alley. And every time your managing partner throws the ball down the alley, just as it's about to hit the pins, a big screen comes down, and he never sees how many pins he hit down. So he's not going to do this again in 5 minutes' time because it's a pretty boring game, not knowing how many pins you hit. And these lawyers and consultants are pretty competitive people as well. So if you show your managing partner, well, actually, that's another strike for you. Then he's gonna do this behavior again and again. And actually, a lot of this feedback is not just what we can deliver, but it's that anecdotal feedback they get from their clients as well. And that's the ultimate feedback we want them to get. So again, we've started using AI to analyze that. So we have a link with Mondac and Lexology and JD Supra. And we used to just say to everyone, here's everyone who's reading your insights. And some will be relevant and some wouldn't be relevant as well. But again, you can use AI. So here's the type of clients I work with. Here's the type of clients I'd like to work with. And we can start to deliver actually really relevant people that are engaging with your content. We actually set it up again with our clients. You can set it up so you can do a threshold send. So you can say, I want this 90% relevant or 80% relevant or 70% relevant, just so it's going to the people that you want it to go to. But ultimately, the idea is stopping this and having this. And that's the power of AI. That's what AI lets us do, getting the right piece of content to the right partner or lawyer or consultant at our firm so they can deliver it to the right client at the right time. And that's how you can really push cross-selling across your firm. Going back to Sadie's point, it's the cheapest, fastest, and best way we can drive business growth. So that's really it. Hyper-personalization using AI to help cross-sell across your firm. So thank you so much for your time.